Hello everybody, today's clip is supported by Sleeper. Before we dive in, let me tell you a bit more about Sleeper. This app is making serious waves. It was the #1 downloaded sports app in the US during the NFL season, even beating heavyweights such as ESPN and Yahoo. Sleeper isn't just popular, it's because they truly deliver the best fantasy experience. You get deeper customization, more league options, and all the bells and whistles that make managing your fantasy team a blast. But that's not all. Sleeper is growing a fantastic community with several million people using it daily for their sports fix. Sleeper has a broad appeal and is genuinely built for everyone. So, if you're looking to up your fantasy game, make sure to check out Sleeper by clicking the link in the video description. Trust me, you won't regret it. Hello everybody and welcome back to That's Football and welcome back to Win, Lose or Draw, where me and Robbie predict the weekend results. We're head to head. He was winning 12-11 last week, but I tell you what, Arsenal versus Man City is the first game we're going to talk about. I tell you what as well, it's 1-0 to Man City. And before Robbie can have his say, I just want to say, this is an absolute disgrace. This FA charge, what a week it's been, Robbie, because that FA charge, when that dropped yesterday, I had to check if it was a parody account. So basically, the FA have charged Arsenal for not controlling their players. And you can go through my timeline. I have been at this for 2 years. Every time I watch Man City, if there's half a penalty, half a throw-in, they'll argue about the bloody who gets the toss at the start. They're swarming the referee. They never get done. I'm always tweeting, why don't they ever do anything? Arsenal get a man sent off in what has been agreed. It was a ridiculous decision. Obviously, they're going to say something to the ref and they get done for it as well. Absolute joke, absolute disgrace. And I just think this is the FA and the PGMOL just looking for some way to come back at Arsenal for what happened last weekend because they messed up. And I'm tired of it. I was talking about Gary Neville's podcast yesterday, back in the bloody PGMOL. And I just think, you know what? It goes back to what we were saying on Monday on your channel. Mates rates. If you own a restaurant and I come in and you serve something I don't like, I'm not going to go, it was lovely, Robbie. I'm going to say, Robbie, it could be better because I want you to be the best you can be. And what people don't understand in life is you can't just back your mates when they're not doing things because it just leads to what's happening at the moment. I think it's an absolute disgrace, that charge. And fair play to Man City for getting away with it for 2 years. I'm not digging them out, but they've been at it for 2 years. Genuine reason to swarm a referee and you get charged for it.
Yeah, but listen, Mark, this is revenge. The PGMOL have got or are getting their revenge of this because they're so hurt. Because remember, they weren't backing down on this. It's an independent tribunal that has turned around and said that red card was, said basically what we all knew, that the red card was ridiculous. They could have redeemed themselves, the PGMOL, by just after everything happened, they could have just said, you know what, we got it wrong, red card rescinded, and no, so it didn't, like Mikel Arteta said, hopefully it doesn't have to go to an appeal. But it had to go to an appeal because they were still standing by Michael Oliver. Yeah. And now, because they've been proven wrong and, now they're trying to take revenge. And I saw those ridiculous comments by Gary Neville. It's like what you said last week, right? Over on my channel. These, companies, these Skies and all that, they've got connections, or relations, should I say, with the referees and stuff like that. And calls would have been put in saying, you know what, you guys,
dial it down a bit.
Yeah, so dial it down. You're having a go at our guys. You're making us look even worse, right? How can Gary
Neville was insinuating that you, Arsenal Football Club, and you as an Arsenal influencer, are in, that you're sort of like stoking the fire that leads to the
it's
pile
absolutely,
on of these referees.
Yeah, ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. We see what we see, which are terrible decisions, and that was another one in a catalogue of terrible decisions, right? And all we do is we call it out because you know what? I ain't got nobody from the PGMOL giving me a phone call and saying, Robbie, dial it down. And even if I did, I'd tell him to do one, right? Yeah. Because I'm sorry, what I see is what I say. And everybody saw what happened. And this worries me going forward now, right? Because if they're being this vindictive with this, what other decisions are going to go against us? Or what decisions are we not going to get that we should get? I mean, I've got no faith in this PGMOL organization at all. I really have no faith in them.
It's interesting you say that, because it just came into my head there. I don't know whether I ever told you, but I've mentioned it when it happened. When I had my show on Talk Sport a couple of years ago, there was a refereeing decision, because it's been going on for years. And I was so angry, I went on Twitter and I said something along the lines, this ref must be on the take. About a week later, I got contact from the producer at Talk Sport saying PGMOL have been in contact. They're just sort of red flagging that, you know, they don't like that sort of comment and don't do it in the future. And I said, it's a bloody tweet. I'll delete it. I mean, I don't want to insinuate that they're taking money, but come on, But from that moment on, I thought they are absolutely obsessed with protecting their reputation. They're not looking at why people are frustrated. It's just operation protection. And somebody there will be watching this video saying, has Robbie or Mark said something that maybe we can look at, you know, threatening them or something like that?
Yeah.
But they should be looking at what they're doing.
You're not going to be invited to their gala dinner, right?
Well,
I certainly
ain't going
to be, right?
Yeah. But you know what? That's the thing. It's maintaining the status quo, isn't it? I like what we've built. I like what our community's built, what our communities have built, because I just don't care about being invited to, you know, the PFA or the PGMOL, because I don't want to be in a position where my opinion isn't totally driven by, you know, what football fans' opinion is. And I think that's where everyone's going wrong in the mainstream. They've got these relationships, and to maintain them, you can't be honest. But there we go.
100%. And let's hope, right, there's no Michael Oliver type refereeing that City game. I mean, that's a huge game.
Gary said he'd been taken off it, which I don't think he would have been took off it, because it's very rare to referee an Arsenal game twice in a row. But he said he's been took off it, and it's a joke because he's just made a mistake. I was like, oh my God, he's made so many mistakes in Arsenal Man City games. I mean, he sent off Trossard, didn't he? He
can't referee another Arsenal game this season. He can't. He can't referee another Arsenal game this season. If we see him rock up as fans, not that anything's going to happen to him or anything like that, but we're just not going to trust anything. He'll get booed, but we're just not going to be able to trust anything he does. So for me, yeah, listen, continue refereeing other games, but you can't referee an Arsenal game this season. Let this thing die down, come back next season if possible. But you can't referee another Arsenal game this season because the fans are still angry about this. Simple.
Arsenal Man City at the weekend. It's great, actually, because I think the second biggest game is really Bournemouth Liverpool. Bournemouth are in great form. We'll talk about that in a minute, but that is before your game. So if Liverpool win, if Liverpool draw, if Liverpool lose, it makes no difference. You absolutely have to win this game. And it's probably the first time, Robbie, that sort of gone into a game between Arsenal and Man City where they're the underdogs and you're the favourites, but you're not top of the league, which is, because, you know, we've spoken about. But absolutely have to win this. You're 6 points ahead of them, but it's not really about them closing a gap on you. How confident are you going into this game, considering where you are in Man City this season?
Yeah, listen, I'm confident that we can get a result, you know what I mean? Because we've actually, over the last couple of seasons, had a decent record against Man City. We didn't lose to them at their place. We all remember we were down to 10 men and had to battle out a whole half against Man City, and they got that absolute last-second equaliser. We beat them at our place last season. They're always really, really tight games, but I fancy us this week. And the reason why, I know they're on form. They picked up some form now in the league, but so are we. We've been on form in the league. We haven't, you know, despite what's happened in the cup, we haven't lost for ages. I think it's 13, 14 games unbeaten in the league. And I think we're going to be really pumped for this game. That stay humble, what, you know, Haaland said at the end of that game is very disrespectful towards Mikel Arteta. And there's also a real underlying battle going on between him and Gabriel. You can see that Gabriel and Saliba, they're really up for it when they play against him. They're, you know, expect some, we need a strong ref in this game. Expect some really aggressive play on both sides. And it should be exciting. We want to see that as well. We want to see Haaland and Gabriel and Saliba really battling at each other. But I think we've got enough to beat them. I think we're strong defensively. And I still think they're vulnerable, you know, their defence. We saw it last week against Chelsea. If Chelsea would have taken their chances and had their goalkeeper been, played a bit
Yeah,
better.
yeah,
They
100%.
could have got a result in that game, and they've had a few games like that, City, where they've won, where they haven't been overly convincing. You know what I mean? I remember even Nicky from West Ham Fan TV saying to me, even when they went up there, he's like, even though they got beaten by about 4, he goes, at the start of that game, they were really vulnerable, and West Ham should have had a couple of goals. And remember, they've had a really tough week. You know what I mean? They've come through that, the game against Club Brugge, but which they conceded first again, which was really poor defending. But they had a really tough game against Bruges. Whereas with us, I was at the game during the week over in Girona. It's an absolute stroll. You know what I mean? Arsenal were able to rest Declan Rice, Havertz, Saliba. Like, they rested loads and loads of players, even the players that didn't, come on. They came on for like 15 minutes at the end. Timber played a half. You know what I mean? So we should be the fresher of the teams, and we're at home. So I fancy us in this, Mark.
Goldbridge, that's the end of the clip. I'm sure you enjoyed it. In fact, I bet that's the best clip you've ever watched. So there's no reason not to subscribe to the channel. Click the bell icon so you never miss a clip again. In fact, smash a like on the video, because we all know only legends like videos, and you are all legends. So please smash a like on the video, and we will see you again on the next one. Thank you very much for watching, as always.